Hello. I'm driving home from church, and that's why the lighting is bad. But you can still hear me, and that's what counts. So,
if you don't, this is horrible.
No, it's not horrible, Hazel. It's all gonna be good.
I know. If you can't hear, I don't.
Oh yeah, you're right. It would be horrible if they couldn't hear.
And then
I want to tell you a story.
Oh yeah.
Because I think it will encourage you. Because
tell them this story. What you about the
I am Hazel. That's what I'm gonna tell them. Okay. So, are you discouraged? Are you discouraged today? We all are on different journeys. We're all have different stories that God is writing for us and our families. Maybe if I lean back, that's better. And we all face discouragement in one form or another. And today, my discouragement... Sorry, I'm driving, guys. I promise I'm looking at the road and not you. Today, my discouragement was... I think you all know my son's autism, and Hazel, let me finish talking, okay? Anyway, so today was actually not a terrible day, but I just got down. I got down about my life and about. Okay, hey baby, hey Evangeline.
Oh, Jude. She said Evangeline and.
She said Jude, yes.
Jude.
Okay, so. Sometimes I just, with this whole autism thing, it's very, very impairing. And it's very impairing for Jude. It's very disabling for our family. I feel like there's absolutely nothing easy for us. Nothing. So I was already down today, just trying to figure out how to live life in the middle of these impairments. And just trying to keep my head up. But I was not looking for the Lord at all. Like I was just kind of coasting, you know. I was just like discouraged and just not really doing anything about it. And tonight, Jude just, tonight is church night, and we were kind of prepping Jude for church, and then sometimes he just gets really crazy, and we just don't even know why he's getting crazy, and it's like he couldn't make up his mind whether they wanted to go or not, and he wasn't minding. He was getting on top of our van and getting in the mud and grabbing people, and it was like he just goes crazy sometimes, and it's like everything in his brain is just haywire, and that was discouraging to me. And then, you know, I would say, okay, Jude, we're going to leave without you. Okay, you're going to stay here with Daddy. You can't go to church unless you have clothes on. He didn't want to wear his clothes, and then John had said, you know, wait, Hazel, I don't even know if it's safe for Jude to go, because Jude has there's a very steep drop in our children's building that if someone were to fall off of it, I mean, it's gated and it's protected for normal kids, you know, it's fine, you know, but for a child who has no reasoning whatsoever, like if Jude were to get over it, like he could, I'm not going to say the word, but you know, because my kids are in the car.
Get out.
Yeah. But, and John was like, I don't even know if it's safe for him to go, because he's gotten his leg up over the top of that railing before. And so anyways, we're trying to get Jude in the car. He didn't want to get in the car, and then I'd drive off and he'd scream and he'd cry, and we'd get him back in the car, and then he wouldn't buckle up. And so finally John just had to pull him out of the car against his will, and we had to leave with him chasing and running beside the car, and it was just awful. And so I was down, and I delivered all the kids to their classes, and then I was just sitting in my car by myself, and I just started to throw a pity party for myself. I'm like, I don't get to go to church, really. I just have to sit in this car by myself, and I just want to be normal. I want to have a normal life. Blah, 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 blah. Having my pity party, you know. And,
Why do you say blah, 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 blah?
You know, and Jude was at home, and John had sent me a picture, and he was naked and playing in the mud, because that's what he needed to do. And just even seeing that was just hard for me. I'm just like, man, this is what life is. Like, it's just crazy. This is my child. And then I get this other text, and John says, we're on our way to church. Well, it's already 7 at this point, so church is over at 7:30, and I'm thinking, oh gosh. But Jude will do that a lot. He'll just say, I want truck, and then he'll just kind of guide us where he wants to go. And so if we have time to do that, we'll do that with him, just to kind of give him a sense of, like, control, and like he has a say-so in his life. And so anyway, so he directed John back to the church. And so anyway, he directed him to the Leaps and Bounds class, which is the class for special needs kids. And that has not historically really worked very well for Jude. I don't know why. It's just like, we don't really know what works for Jude. Like, he'll be in one place and then he leaves, and then he goes to one place and then he leaves. He doesn't want to be there anymore. But he led John to the Leaps and Bounds class. And in that class was a 15-year-old boy with Down syndrome. And so one of the things that Jude has taught me is to speak to people with disabilities. Never, ever act like they are not in a room with you. And so I went straight to this boy, and I introduced myself, and he was so precious, and he kissed my hand. And anyway, so I sat down, I was visiting with the teacher, and then it was like Jude just realized that this boy was in his class. And this boy went and got in this big inflatable boat that they have in their class, and Jude thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and it just excited him. And so Jude jumped in the boat, and of course me and John are like, be careful, Jude, like, don't be too rough. And this boy with Down syndrome just started giggling and had just the purest and sweetest smile on his face. And Jude was like grabbing him and wrestling with him, and this boy was rolling all over Jude, and he was laughing and Jude was laughing, and they just began to play together. And I know that seems like, well, what's the big deal, But for a mom like me, and for the struggles that we've had, and for the fact that Jude doesn't really have, like, friends that genuinely want to play with him, like, to see that happening, and to see them both enjoying one another, like, neither of these two boys were doing each other a favor, okay? Neither of them were. They were genuinely enjoying each other as human beings, and I don't know if I've ever seen that before. And it was just like...
2 more hearts and more thumbs up, people. It's amazing.
It is amazing. That's right, Hazel. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And then I said, I really want to meet his mom, who is his mother, so that I can find out how we can get the boys together to, to play together. And anyway, the second I saw her, I started crying, because I just, there's so much emotion in me that I didn't even realize was there, and it just kind of came out, and we began to talk, and I could tell it meant a lot to her too. And because she said, my son really doesn't have friends either outside of school, and it was just this holy, beautiful moment for us as moms, and these weary moms, these heavy-hearted moms for our boys, and to see them meet someone and enjoy a relationship with someone who just genuinely accepted them and genuinely was having a good time with the other. And it was so beautiful, because this boy is 15 years old, so he's a bigger boy, and then having Downs, it's like he doesn't know that Jude's anything different. I mean, and then he was big enough to handle Jude. I mean, because Jude was being pretty rough with him, and she was saying, my son's kind of rough with people, and so, a lot of times, he wants to play with kids, but, he gets too rough, and I'm like, I think Jude has met his match. It was just beautiful and amazing, and so, like, my whole day was just this down, discouraging, pitiful, woe is me day, and it ended on, like, a high that I couldn't even begin to describe to you, and how wonderful of a feeling. That's how my day ended. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, I wasn't even looking for God to come to me. I wasn't even like expecting him to come and encourage me, but he did anyway, because that's who he is, and he's faithful, and he's so faithful, and he's so gracious and so kind. And just when you think what's the point? Or why am I going through this? Is there ever going to be an end to this? God will come to you, and He'll come to you in a beautiful moment like that, even when you're not even looking for Him, and He'll encourage you. And so, but I want to encourage you and say, start looking right now. Start looking for God to come to you, because He wants to, and He's got something great for you that's just going to encourage you so much. And what may seem like the source of all your discouragement can actually be the source of your greatest encouragement. And that's what I saw tonight, and it was beautiful. So don't forget that, and just know that God has a plan, and He loves you. Y'all have an awesome night.